folks, it's me again, and today we are back with another build in the AtoZ build series. So if you don't know what the AtoZ build series is, I'm just going to quickly tell you. It's a challenge that I created with 26 builds to go with 26 letters. So this one's G, and I am building a graveyard. Now, disclaimer, I actually wasn't originally going to be building a graveyard. I was originally going to do a gym for G, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I felt like a graveyard was better. Because the thing is as well, I have just recently started a legacy challenge on my channel, and I felt like the graveyard fit in with the story of that, because eventually I'm hoping that I'm going to have a lot of dead Sims. Not hoping, but eventually I'll have a lot of dead Sims, and I want somewhere to put them so that we can go and visit it, and we can go and look at it and be like, wow, these are all the Sims that we've played with, that I've played with. So this graveyard is actually modelled off of a graveyard, and the story that goes behind that is that this graveyard that it is modelled off is actually one part of the main entrance part that you can see there that I just built is actually a place for people to live in real life. This in real life, but also in the game, because I've modelled it off that. And I actually stayed in this graveyard for I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks back, I don't know, years and years ago. A friend of mine actually lived in the graveyard in this house, and I broke up with my ex, and long story short, I stayed with my friend in the graveyard for 2 weeks, and it was really cozy and quaint, this little house. And the graveyard is actually not in use at the moment. It's a very old graveyard, which was in kind of disrepair, and you know, we walked around it a couple of times, and there was a church at the top which wasn't in use and was very kind of like, I don't know, it was all boarded up and stuff, and it wasn't a very nice place to hang around, and to walk around the graveyard, it was very kind of overgrown. Now, that's the only part of this that isn't kind of true to the actual graveyard. I haven't made this one really overgrown. What I wanted to do was I wanted it to kind of have like separate areas. So this area here with the tree is actually a like the old part of the graveyard. Like, imagine that that's where the really old gravestones are. So I have actually got some of the debug items, and I've managed to get some of like the vampire headstones, and I've put those in there. And then there's like a pet cemetery part of it as well. So obviously, if any of my like Sims in my legacy challenge have pets that die, sadly, I will come and put them in this graveyard. Now, obviously, this is a residential lot. Now, it means that my Sim is going to have to carry an urn in their inventory, bring it to this guy's house, and just plonk it in his garden, because that's how it works. I can't actually make like a proper functioning graveyard like you could in The Sims 3. So what I've done is I've given this guy a bit of a story. So he's called Hades, and this is Hades' graveyard. Obviously that's a nod to a lot of mythology surrounding like Hades and Greek mythology, obviously, and so he owns the graveyard as well as living in the graveyard, and I'm sure that he will pop up in my legacy challenge series. I haven't got any plans for him to like sort of fall in love with my founder or anything like that. I just thought he could be a friend, you know, somebody a bit creepy, you know, just kind of hanging around there and just creeping the whole place out. But so yeah, so this area here, I left that in so you could see how I do my ponds, just in case you were wondering, how do you do those ponds? Now you can see for yourself. So all I do is place lots of rocks around a water area, and then I just foliage the freak out of it. And notice I said freak there because this is a family-friendly family-friendly channel. So yeah, so that's how I do my pond areas, and I wanted somewhere where, you know, a lot of graveyards that I've been to do have benches in that you can sit down at and cry. So I thought that was a nice area to kind of sit and cry. And then I found these little arches in I think it's like the Romantic Garden stuff pack or something, and I've not actually really used that pack that much, but it came in handy to do a graveyard with, because there are a lot of really cool items in there, so like the archway at the bottom, and obviously like these little archways into the little separated areas. So this front bit here that I'm doing, this is kind of like the newer part of the graveyard, so this is like where all the like the fresh kind of headstones would be. That's not a very nice way to describe it, is it? Fresh, like, but anyway, you know what I'm trying to get at. That's where all the new headstones would be. So yes, I have just used the decorative headstones for now, but I will swap them out for Dead Sims eventually. And I'm so glad that I'm talking about a game right now, because anybody like who was sat in the room with me would just be like, okay, or anybody overhearing this conversation that I'm having would just be like, okay, the girl next door is building a graveyard and is going to kill loads of people. But no, it's just a game. So yeah, so it's kind of macabre, this one, I guess. It's kind of creepy, and I love creepy. I love everything to do with creepy. I would build so many different creepy things if I actually had the motivation to do that. As I said before, like, my house is haunted, or we think our house is haunted. Obviously no one can tell for sure, it's never going to be confirmed, but lots of creepy things happen here, and it's all very strange. But yeah, anyway, so this is a creepy graveyard, and this is a creepy man that lives in this graveyard. And they're obviously, once I've finished the actual garden of it, because the garden technically is the graveyard, I go into the house. The house is very small. It was very small in real life as well. Just one bedroom, one bathroom, and like a kitchen, living room area. So I've kind of modelled it on that. It's not exactly the same. It's different shaped, the bathroom's in a different place, but I don't know, it kind of captures the essence of that place that I once stayed in. And yeah, I remember it was really quite cool there. We had a barbecue at some point, and that was kind of fun. We had a barbecue in the graveyard, because the back of there wasn't really a garden as such, there was just kind of a patch of land next to it, and then the graveyard, so technically we did have a barbecue in the graveyard. And yeah, so the inside of the house, also, a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember, maybe a month or so ago, I did a challenge with Kay, where we had to build a house using the base game plus our least favourite pack. Now my least favourite pack was the Vampires pack, and it wasn't because I didn't like it, it was because I don't use the items in that pack. And since then I've actually started using some of the items more, so it was really good for me to kind of use that, because I kind of like discovered it again, if you will, and it just kind of like opened my excitement for it, I guess. So I used a lot of the vampire stuff in this build. I mean, the kitchen I didn't, because I don't know, I just wanted the kitchen to look like kind of like it was just put in, because obviously this house wouldn't always have been there, so it's had to be made into a house. So I figured that the kitchen wouldn't be like completely old and like decrepit, so I've made it like kind of modern but in style with the old. And obviously it's all very black and white, and the opposite side of the I think this is called a gatehouse, and I think that's what, yeah, I think it's a gatehouse. So the opposite side of the gatehouse was actually an office where like volunteers would come and like do stuff in the graveyard, I don't know, like weed and stuff. So I've done that as well. So this is like the main residence, but then on the opposite side of the gatehouse is going to just be a little office, and in this I have just put a like a computer desk and stuff to make it look like an office. So he's actually got a computer, I guess, to use. The downstairs basement, there was actually a basement in it. I never went in it, but my friend did, and there was an old coffin in there, which he brought up and actually used as like a I don't know, like a centerpiece in his house. Like he actually like brought it upstairs. It was like an old wooden coffin. It was really cool. So yeah, so everything is kind of true to how it really was. And this is now the screenshots. The screenshots are all taken in the dark, because obviously I wanted you to see what it looked like in the dark. So thank you very much for watching, and if you like this, give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.